Hello guys, in the last video we discussed about edema due to reduced plasma osmotic pressure. So now we are left with the three categories, that is edema due to sodium and water retention, edema due to inflammation, and edema due to lymphatic obstruction. And in this video we will try to cover all the three categories, as the first two categories in edema due to sodium and water retention and edema due to inflammation are quite short topics. So let's start over here. I want to start from here. The second topic, the third topic was edema due to sodium and water retention. Okay, sodium and water retention. So retention of sodium is associated with retention of water. Once sodium is retained, along with it water is also retained. So when does sodium retention occurs, or how edema due to sodium and water retention causes edema due to two mechanisms. So causes edema by two mechanisms. Okay, and what are those two mechanisms? First is it increases volume of intravascular fluid. Okay, it increases, first mechanism is increases volume of intravascular fluid, which in turn increases the capillary hydrostatic pressure. Okay, capillary hydrostatic pressure. And in the last video we discussed that increase in capillary hydrostatic pressure generates an imbalance between the plasma osmotic pressure and capillary hydrostatic pressure, as they are opposite forces. There is increase in one causes imbalance, and it will lead to the extravasation, or it will lead to the it will cause driving out of the intravascular fluid into the interstitial tissue space, causing edema. That's why increasing capillary hydrostatic pressure will cause edema. So first mechanism, increase volume of intravascular fluid, which will increase hydrostatic pressure. It is obvious, no? When there is water retention, it will obviously increase the volume. Yeah, it will obviously increase the volume of the intravascular fluid, which will increase the capillary hydrostatic pressure. Why? How it will increase the capillary hydrostatic pressure? In the previous videos, we discussed that capillary hydrostatic pressure is the pressure exerted by the fluid inside the blood vessels, and it tends to drive out the fluid into the interstitial tissue spaces. That's why an increase in it will cause imbalance between the capillary hydrostatic pressure and plasma osmotic pressure. And as this one is more, what is more, capillary hydrostatic pressure is more or increased, the fluid will drive out into the, or will be pulled out into the interstitial tissue spaces, which will cause edema. Okay, now the second mechanism by which sodium and water retention causes edema is decreases plasma osmotic pressure. Okay, decreases plasma osmotic pressure. Now either increase in capillary hydrostatic pressure or decrease in plasma osmotic pressure will cause imbalance between these forces and leading to edema. Okay, so how does sodium and water retention causes osmotic decrease in plasma osmotic pressure. So just imagine, suppose we have a glass of water and we have filled it half, and we have 2 spoons of sugar added into it. 2 spoons of sugar added into it. Now if I add one more spoon of sugar, if I add one more spoon of the sugar, then it will be, the solution will be concentrated. Yeah, yes or not? The solution will be concentrated. But if the amount of sugar I keep it constant and make the glass full of water, then the solution will be diluted. Yes or not? I took a glass of half filled water with 2 spoons of sugar. Now when I add an extra spoon of sugar into the half filled glass, then the solution will be concentrated. But when I keep the amount of sugar constant and add and make the glass full, then the solution will be diluted. Yes or not? Same thing happens over here. Same mechanism applies when there is sodium and water retention. When there is water retention, what happens is, there are blood vessels. In the blood vessel there is colloidal proteins. We told about that plasma osmotic pressure is the pressure exerted by the proteins in the blood. Colloidal proteins, mainly albumin. So what is that? This is the proteins. When the water is retained, then the amount of water will increase, which will dilate the fluid, intravascular fluid, decreasing the plasma osmotic pressure. Yes or not? So this was the explanation. So how it decreases the plasma osmotic pressure, I lied over here, by decreases plasma osmotic pressure by dilating the plasma. Yes or not? The plasma gets diluted. Diluting. By diluting the plasma. When it is diluted, then the plasma osmotic pressure will decrease. Okay. So by these two mechanisms, retention of water and sodium can cause edema. The next one is edema due to inflammation. Okay. So it is very simple that during inflammation, increase in vascular permeability. Increase of vascular permeability is a procedure. During inflammation, vascular permeability increases. We know that. So increase in vascular permeability will make the process of fluid escaping the fluid from the vessels into the interstitial tissue space will be easy when the blood vessels are more permeable. That's why in inflammation increases vascular permeability and cause edema due to escape of the fluid. Okay, and edema due to inflammation is exudate in nature. It is exudative in nature. Okay, clear up to this? Now this much in the edema due to inflammation and edema due to tension. Now we have a other category, that is edema due to lymphatic obstruction. Before that, you may get confused in the exudate and transudate. So let's have a concept on that, exudate and transudate. So exudate and transudate. So exudate is a filtrate of blood plasma. Exudate is a filtrate of blood plasma produced by altering the vascular permeability. When you alter the vascular permeability, not only the fluid, along with it proteins, fibrinogen come out, so may escape the blood vessel and come into the interstitial fluid. So exudate is a filtrate of blood plasma produced by altering the vascular permeability, while transudate is a filtrate of blood plasma. It is also filtrate of blood plasma, but without altering the vascular permeability. Okay, so let's write filtrate of blood plasma, same here, filtrate of blood plasma produced by altering vascular permeability. Okay, no altering of vascular permeability. Okay, so what is the nature? So exudate is rich in, as we told, it is by the altering vascular permeability. So it is the protein content in exudate is high and fibrinogen is also high, but in case of transudate the fibrinogen is low and protein content is also low. So let's write that one, protein content and fibrinogen, low fibrinogen plus low protein content. Less than 1 gram per deciliter. Okay, sorry, less than 1 gram per deciliter, while in case of exudate, high fibrinogen plus protein, that is greater than 2.5 to 3.5 gram per deciliter. Okay, and there are other points to discuss on exudate and transudate. Exudate is also known as inflammatory edema fluid, and transudate is known as non-inflammatory edema fluid. Okay, and exudate is rich in inflammatory and parenchymal cells. Exudate is rich in inflammatory and parenchymal cells, while transudate has very less amount of cells and mesothelial cells, and the debris are common. Okay, so where should I write this? I'll write it over here. I guess you have copied. So I'll write X and TR. Okay, don't get confused, because due to lack of space, if I continue this in the next video, you may get confused. So rich in inflammatory plus parenchymal cells. Okay, rich in inflammatory and parenchymal cells, while transudate is, this is exudate and this is transudate. Okay, don't get confused. And transudate is has less cells, and among them mesothelial cells and debris are common. Okay, so and exudate is known as inflammatory edema fluid, and transudate is known as non-inflammatory edema fluid. So I am not writing that, please consider and you can note it. So this much in this video. Now we shall discuss about edema due to lymphatic obstruction in the next video. So let's have a look so we don't miss anything. Thank you.